Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It is your sizzling host, Babi Mawela. Thank you for joining Connect HR Hangouts. If you're new here, welcome. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to leave your comments and please share this episode on your various social media platforms. And please click on the notification button so that every time we upload a new episode, you get a notification. In studio today, we are joined by a very prestigious guest. He goes by the name Dr. Jerry Gule. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, Pabi. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's your time to shine. We need an introduction from you. We need to get to know you. And who is Dr. Jerry Gule?
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, as introduced, I'm Jerry Gule. I'm been an HR professional for a long time.
Yeah.
But I currently am not employed in terms of being in corporate. I work for myself for a company that we set up, myself and my wife, Gule Dr. Gule. It's called Gule Executive Coaching. So I'm focusing right now on coaching. But prior to that, I actually started off as an English and history teacher.
Is it?
Way back then. Maybe you were not even born, Papi, but who knows? Maybe you were. So I only taught for 2 terms because my alma mater, the then University of Botswana in Swaziland, recruited me back to come and teach. In fact, at the time, we're talking early 80s, right? When jobs were not as scarce as they are today. So I was given about, I think, 3 options to choose from. And I chose management education because I thought, this is interesting. Yeah. I'm a humanities guy and here I'm being offered an opportunity to go into a new field. So I embraced that. And that led to me going to do a master's degree and eventually a doctorate at Harvard University, and immersed myself in the whole world of educational management, leadership, and all those things, and then into the HR field. So I think I've been in HR in different organizations. At the last position I held, HR position, was being General Manager of Human Resources and Transformation. At some point, also managing the procurement function of the company where I worked. Yeah.
Sure. That has been quite a journey.
Yes.
And now you ventured out to being an executive coach.
Yes.
To those who don't know what that is, please share some your knowledge on that.
Yeah. So in preparing for, retiring from the HR function, I decided, what is it that I'm going to do? I did coaching and I didn't know I was actually doing coaching. But in preparing for getting out, exiting corporate, I decided this because I enjoyed doing that. I was an internal coach in my organization. What is coaching all about? Particularly, what is executive coaching all about? Yeah. This is where you focus on working with executives or senior managers in an organization. And coaching is about helping individuals really to realize their potential in terms of performance and in terms of personal life, personal development. Yeah. So this is the aspect that I enjoyed. One of the things that I enjoyed in my career was to see people blossom. And what really gave me the kicks is when people that I worked with, and this happened several times, would take over from me. Yeah. And I always enjoyed that growth.
Yes.
So I think that's why I veered towards executive coaching. So helping executives, working alongside them. And the beauty with coaching is that it's not a relationship of unequals. It's a relationship of equals. A good coach, you don't come up with solutions, but you come alongside the person that you are coaching to work with them. The solutions, the answers are in their chest, are in their hearts. Yeah. All that you have to do as a coach is really to work alongside them, help them to look at options. What else can I do to deal with what I'm facing, what is confronting me as an executive, both from a performance and of course it could be because the company said, no, we need our people to go for coaching.
Yes.
And therefore it's performance-based because the organization is looking at maybe performance, or it could be just we see this individual as having potential, but that potential is not being realized. Why is that? Who can help? So I found in the coaching that I do that I really help people to gain. Particularly now, the several clients that I've had, I find that what we are dealing with is building confidence.
Yes.
Right? There is a lady who is now in Spain via Dubai. And her whole issue was, how do I manage up, particularly a person who is offered, maybe is coming from a different culture than mine, and I need to be managing up. How do I do that? So as a coach, you come alongside and you help the person to look at options. What is it that they are doing now? How is it working? And what else can they do to make sure that that can work? Sometimes people are held back by fear of the unknown. Fear, if I try this, maybe it fails. A good coach comes alongside and says, but why are you limiting yourself? What can you do to release yourself from the fear, this fear of the unknown?
Yes.
What can you try? And one step at a time, then you see people blossom. That's what coaching is about.
Yeah, that is interesting. And what is the difference between mentoring and coaching? Because both seem so similar, but based on what you've just shared now, I can almost tell the difference, but I'd like to hear your view on that.
Yeah. So as I've said, coaching is a relationship of you treat the person that you're dealing with as an equal. You don't treat them, it's not a parent-child relationship. Yes. Whereas in mentoring you have an expert. I mean, as a coach, I don't need to be an expert in your field because all I will do is I will listen carefully, as we say in coaching, actively to what we're talking about, what we're confronting, and then start talking about, looking at the options that are available. Mentoring, on the other hand, is an expert, most likely in your field, who has been there, can then tell you, if that's what you are aiming to do, this is the path to follow.
Yes.
Because they've walked that path. A coach doesn't necessarily have to have walked the path that you would have walked. So that's the difference in that the mentor is an expert in your field in which you want to go. So he can almost give you directive instructions. A coach never instructs, but a coach probes and looks for the solutions that are lying hidden in you. Or else the mentor will say, if that's what you want to achieve, this is the path to follow.
Sure, okay. And between the two, which strategy has proven to be effective in organizations between coaching and mentoring?
Yeah, I think both work for different purposes. I mean, we talk about, for instance, the so-called reverse mentoring, where a younger person, particularly in the age of AI, and you have us, BBTs, born before technology, who need guidance, hand-holding by younger people who are digital natives. For them, working with tech, it's easy. So here you have a young person who can mentor a person who, though they're an adult, they are well experienced, but when it comes to a particular digital skill, they may not be that savvy with that, but the young person may be. So I think it's horses for horses, right?
Okay.
So if it depends what you want to achieve, but both of them are equally valid. I cannot say, no, you need coaching because it's what is it that is required under the circumstances. So both are effective. And in our company, we actually had mentors identified in the organization to say, who wants to be mentored. And the employees had the opportunity to looking at profiles, similarly with coaching, looking for profiles and say, let's check for an example, someone who wants to be good at logistics.
Yes.
And you want someone who has walked that path, who knows all the obstacles that you may face as someone who's aspiring to be in the supply chain, and can guide you. So that person, you go to him and say, I would like you to mentor me. And they will show you the ropes. And of course, give you assignments. Coach does the same, but what the coach the whole action really, just like in a mentor relationship, lies with the person who is being coached. Similarly with if you are the mentee has to do the work that needs to be done. Be clear in their own minds, what is it that I want to achieve? But you are looking for someone who is experienced in your field, or else a coach may, as I've said, doesn't necessarily to have be in the same field as you.
Sure. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And Dr. Gule, you've mentioned that I think when we were having our brief session earlier last week, you mentioned that you also do motivational talks.
Yes.
This is my favorite part, by the way.
Okay.
Please share with us what do you specialize in terms of motivational speaking?
Yeah. So again, when it comes to motivational speaking, I just call it maybe public speaking, because I find that people would tell you, for instance, I've had occasions where an executive was leaving her team in one of these big entities.
Yeah.
And in her last executive meeting, where the strategy that he had been following with this team, she's now handing it over to someone. But he wants the team to continue to function as a team. And they then had asked me to say, come in and speak to, she said, come in and speak to my team.
Yes.
So that they can carry through what we've been doing. Everybody's devastated right now that I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So in your coming in, the brief was, come and speak to my team and make sure that they can still hold each other, carry each other through this, pursue the strategy that we've been pursuing. Instead of my departure in our last executive meeting, people all feeling somber, come and lift our spirits.
Yeah.
So the talk, you craft the talk, it's a bespoke talk, motivational talk that is based on the brief.
Okay.
But I like talking about relationships. And relationships permeate everything. It could be team dynamics, team relationships. It actually, sometimes one-on-one. In other words, two people, how do they relate as buddies?
Yeah.
One of the things that this may surprise you, but integrating persons with disabilities in the workplace.
Yes.
I give a talk on that. How can you do that and do it effectively? So in such a way that this irrational fear that we sometimes have as colleagues of persons with disability disappears. How? So you talk about what does it mean?
Yes.
To be a buddy to a person with a disability. What are some of the things that you need to be aware of? And there I talk about the fact that you actually, to be helpful, you don't just give help. You ask, how can I help you? True. And you get given the permission to help, because sometimes a person may not need help. So to be a good buddy in the workplace, always don't assume, but ask. So I can give a talk around that.
Yeah.
And those are some of the things that I talk about. So how do we manage relationships in the workplace, both as buddies, as colleagues, but also, to be a manager, as they say, it's lonely. It shouldn't be. It actually shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And one of my talks is actually around that it shouldn't be. It's all about mindset.
Yeah.
All right. So how do you change that mindset so that it's not lonely at the top? Because you just integrate with people.
True.
Why should it be lonely at the top? Now you're asking me to give you didn't ask me to give a motivational talk, but that's part of what one would be talking about.
Yes.
So I really talk about different things.
Yeah.
You and I were laughing because I also said I talk about relationship between couples.
Yes.
before they get married, once they are married, how to sustain that. So there's a talk around that.
Yes.
So those are the kinds of things that we talk about.
I love that. And how frequent do you think organizations need to have these chats with their employees regarding relationships with their managers? Because I feel that today we are faced with so many of those challenges within the organization. So how frequent should we have chats with, external people to come and give these motivational chats within the organization?
Yeah. Sometimes people say motivational talks or presentations are not really that useful because it gives you a good feeling for the moment. Yeah. And after the person who was giving the talk is gone, then what happens? And this is the difference in terms of putting in place action plans. It's no use just having a motivational talk and there is no action that follows after that. So my approach is always, and I'm coming to a question, my approach is always, what do we want to see? So that question I would ask, what do we want to see after this event? Because otherwise it's a waste of time. What are we going to change? If I'm talking to line managers, both as line managers, knowing, because eventually we're going to have that one, Q&A session at the end of the thing, and actions that may be necessary. So it's important to have an action plan. We've had this, rah thing from this motivational speaker. We all feel good.
Yeah.
But we ask them to speak on this particular topic. There could be reasons why. Because maybe we needed to hear a different voice of how we can deal with something like this. But most importantly, if it's bothering us, I think particularly when I talk to teams, is what are we going to do? So that's why we should sustain it. Your question is, how often should we do this? Okay, so the first thing is we must have one-on-ones on a regular basis and team meetings on a regular basis. But in terms of when there's a need to hear a different perspective, I think it depends on the needs. Is to find out from the team, do we need this?
Yes.
And a good line manager would actually, what is it that you need? And him or her with his team may say, okay, maybe this is time we need someone to come and give us this kind of thing. I would say once a year. Not because I want the check, but but I think once a year at least, because once a year, a good organization has the breakaway, the strategy session.
Correct.
And you can possibly bring someone to do that for you by way of motivating the team to say it is achievable. You can do it twice a year. You can do it 3 times a year. But there must be a need for it because people must buy into the idea. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Gule, we're just going to hold on a little bit. We're going to take a short break and we will be back. Hello, everybody. We are seated here with Chico Walia, who we've become a media partner with. He is from Ultimate Training Consultants, and he is about to tell us what we can expect from the 4th annual HR Champion Summit. Chico, please take it away.
Okay, my name is Chico Walia, and I'm the Chief Learning Solutions Officer at Ultimate Training Consultants. And we are proud organizers of the 4th Annual HR Champions Summit that is happening on the 20th of May at the NH Johannesburg Sandton Hotel. Coincidentally, the event is on the HR International Day. So definitely meant for HR professionals and people management professionals. This is an event that they won't want to miss. They don't want FOMO to haunt them. They don't want to have that fear of missing out. So definitely one to look out for, and very excited to be part of the organizing team.
Thank you. For more information, please, where can people go to actually for more info?
Okay, so for more information, they can go to our event landing page, which is www.hrchampions.co.za. If they want to drop us an email, they can drop us an email at attend@hrchampions.co.za.
Thank you. See you there. Welcome back, everybody. We are still with Dr. Gule, who has shared a lot of information regarding executive coaching and coaching in general, as well as the difference between coaching and mentorship. Now, Dr. Gule, as you have been chatting to us, I'm more interested in your journey as a leader. You seem to have extensive knowledge as a leader. How has leadership shaped you as an individual to get to this point in your career?
No, thank you for that. I think when I look back to where I've come from around leadership, it's actually a good question you're asking. When did the leadership bug bite me?
Yes.
I actually don't know. All I recall in secondary school when there was an opportunity to lead the students. For some reason, my colleagues decided I was going to be the head prefect. In the school, we didn't have prefects.
Sure.
And we went to the teachers and said, our school is not doing very well. We want to structure it in this way, in that way, and we feel that we should have discipline, and this discipline must be enforced, and it must be enforced by our fellow students. So the teacher says, is that what you want to do? Yeah, that's what we want to do. I was in Form 2 then. At that time. And the teacher said, set up a structure and we will make sure that you work with the headmaster to make sure that your structure is implemented so there can be this discipline that you are looking for. And I was chosen as the head prefect.
Sure.
I think if I look back, that's where it all started, because that would happen in secondary school, in high school, and at varsity. At varsity, at some point, I actually was the chairman of the president of the SRC in my third and final year, fourth year. And that's how it happened. I mean, it's other people seeing you. I actually remember when I stood for the presidents of the SR student council, representative council, that a colleague was, I think there were 2 colleagues or 3 that were also wanting to contest the elections. Before we went into elections, they decided to withdraw. So I was unopposed as a candidate, which was interesting. But for me, it didn't matter any leadership position, even as a student, because you now have to lead. You have to be exemplary to everybody. So it puts a lot more responsibility. And I think I became comfortable with that in the sense that even if I didn't want to do it, my colleagues would say, you've got to do this. If I fast track to the late 80s, early 90s, one of the things that was very clear was that even then, I'm a history student, as I told you earlier, that's what I studied. It was very clear that South Africa would be independent, right? And even though I wasn't here at that time, but it was clear that this is what was going to happen. So when I came back from school, some colleagues in Eswatini today, Swaziland then, we formed an organization called the Institute of Leadership, of Democracy and Leadership, with an emphasis on leadership. Because you can have all the democracy you want. If you don't have good leaders, that democracy is not going to take you anywhere.
True.
You can have democracy is about having regular elections, but you can have regular elections all you want. If you don't have good leaders, it's not going to lead you anywhere. So for me, the leadership journey is a journey of responsibility. In fact, I fear leadership in the sense that it puts such enormous responsibility on you as a leader to care for people. It's not about you. It's about others. How do you care? So it's something that, in as much as I've enjoyed, but each leadership position that I've had, I have cradled it with care, with love, and with fear, because you know that what you do impacts the lives of people.
True. True. Yes. Sure. Thank you, Dr. Gule. And so we will be attending the 4th HR Champion Summit, which I look forward to, by the way.
Yes.
Please let us know what we can look forward to from you.
Yeah. Very interesting summit that UTC is putting together, and I'm privileged to have been invited to be one of the speakers. And our panel will be talking about ESG.
Okay.
What is the role of human resources professionals around this whole thing called ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance? Key issues in our time. I will not disclose everything that we'll be talking about, but it is key that HR professionals actually own up to this agenda, because this is an agenda about sustaining our world, as it were. And we each have to play a part in ensuring that we can sustain. We have the skills to sustain the world, and HR professionals are key. So one of the things that myself and my fellow panelists will be talking about is, what's the role of HR in all this?
Yes.
So it's important. Just environmental. How can we help shape the sustainability of our environment? HR people, the strategy that HR people run has to make sure that it integrates ESG. So that's part of what we'll cover. Secondly, when you look at the social, particularly now, at a time when there's all sorts of pushback around integration, around ensuring equity, I think it's a timely topic to talk about
100%.
That social responsibility that we have, because we know that in terms of effective teams, high-performing teams, creative, innovative teams, you need diversity of thought.
Yeah.
So, and that's part of the social fabric that we need to create in organization. When you talk about governance, oh my goodness, there's a lot that can be said there. Because governance, earlier on you were talking about payroll, you and I, in our conversation. How do you govern that? Because that brings up, it also talks to equity, but it also talks about how do we actually govern this?
Yes.
Because if you don't govern it correctly, it can lead to loss. It can lead to demotivation. So that whole thing around, are we actually ensuring that we have good governance in our HR practices, ultimately in our organization? So HR professionals help the management teams that they are part of to ensure that the organization that they run is an organization that promotes and the environment, the social responsibility that's clear, the social impact that an organization can have, not just within the workplace, but in the community, that whole thing is properly done. And then, of course, that there's proper governance. So that's what we'll be talking about.
Sure.
Part of what we'll be talking about. There's more to be said there.
People will be missing out if they don't attend. Dr. Gule, we'd love to keep you here all day, to be honest. It has been such a pleasant conversation. And before we end the episode, what would you want people to remember you for?
Oh. Yeah, good question. I think people, if I get it my way, would remember that he came, he lived, he loved, and he encouraged others, because that's what I'm about. Is to encourage others to see the potential that they have. And that he was accessible. I try to be an accessible guy. So hopefully that's what I'll be remembered for.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Gule. Thank you so much. And where do people find you on social media?
So I am on Facebook as Jerry Gule. That's how you find me on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn as Dr. Jerry Gule.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it yourself. Please do follow Dr. Gule to, get more of these insights. We look forward to hearing what you thought of this episode. Please comment in the comment section below. And we look forward to seeing you on the other episode where we feature great podcast guests as well to give you such incredible knowledge. Signing out, it's your sizzling host, Babi Mawela. See you next time.
Thanks, Babi.
Thank you.